TinkerCAD tip. This is part 3 of our electronics enclosure or project box we have going here. We've created our empty box and we've put the corner posts in the bottom. Now let's do the work that we need to the lid. To make this a little bit easier to see, I'm going to go ahead and flip this lid over 180 degrees like that. Now, note, too, that these posts that I put in the bottom, I've not yet merged into this bottom part of the box. I'm going to be using these as reference to maintain alignment with the parts that we're going to put in the top. So let's just start in one of our corners here. Let's make a duplicate of this. Let's bring it up. We can go ahead and shorten that up a bit. Now we're going to raise this up until we no longer see it poking out of the bottom there, which will become our top eventually, but there we go. And we'll bring the size down a little bit. Now, in order to be able to put a hole on the top side of this large enough to accept the heads of these M3 screws, we're going to want a little bit of extra meat in this part. So what I want to do at this point is to ungroup those two. So now we have this cylinder and this cylinder is separate. So the first thing I want to do is I want to change the size of this because we don't want this to have any bite on the threads of the screw. So holding Shift and Alt, I'm going to click down here and I'm going to change this from 2.9 to be 3.25 millimeters. And that should have stayed centered with everything. We'll check that in a moment. Go ahead and bring this down. This part here I also want to make slightly larger, so I'm going to hold Shift and Alt, and we're going to change this to be 10 millimeters. All right, let's go back underneath. All right, so let's select the hole, this part of the lug, and this one down here at the bottom, and we'll align to this one at the bottom. We'll zoom out here, and we'll check that everything is in alignment still, which it is. So let's come here. Let's go ahead and move this hole so that it goes all the way through our lid. You see it poking out of the bottom there. We want to take this part and also bring it down. Change our perspective here. Oh, we see it poking through, so we're going to move up a bit. And let's bring this down just slightly below the surface of the lid. Let's change our snap grid to 0.1. And we'll go just inside of that. There we go. We can bring that down. Okay, we have those parts. Let's go ahead and zoom out here. Let's select all of this. Holding the Shift key, I'm going to rotate this back 180 degrees. Now we're going to put our inset at the top to accept the head of our M3 screws. And if we look down here, the M3 screw, the head is roughly 5.5. So if I add a millimeter on all sides of it, that would be 7.4. So let's come back up here. Let's grab a whole cylinder here. Holding the Shift key, let's make this 7.4. Whoop, got ourselves a note. Let's delete that. 7.4. There we go. Let's make it a little bit deeper than the heads of these screws are. The height of the head is, let's get in here, 3 millimeters. Zoom in here. Let's make this 3.25. All right, while that's selected, let's shift select this whole cylinder and we'll align to that. Bring that in. There we go. Now this larger hole we're going to want to sink down 3 millimeters into the lid here. Zoom out. Let's make sure our snap grid is set to 1 millimeter. We'll select that, and holding the control key, I'm going to cursor down 1, 2, 3. So that should give us a hole there that's large enough to accept the head of these M3 screws. Let's go ahead and select everything up there again, holding the shift key, rotate it back around 180 degrees. There we go. Let's zoom in here. Let's select all of those parts and duplicate them to the other corners. What we can do here is select all of this, shift deselect the lid. So now we have these 3 parts. Let's make a duplicate of that. And we'll shift nudge that over roughly over here. Shift select this lug at the bottom here. Align to that. There we go. So that's all aligned. Let's zoom out. Again, let's select all of the lid here. Whoops, let's come around, get a better view. Select all of the lid here. We'll shift deselect the lid itself. We'll duplicate, shift nudge those this way. Nope, before we do that, let's go ahead and shift select that lug there. We'll align to that. And there we go. Everything in the lid should be aligned now. Let's zoom back out. Double check everything looks good under there. Let's go ahead and select all of that. Group them together. Let's go ahead and change it to multicolor. Let's group everything in the bottom together now. Oh, that was ungrouped. Let's go back. Group everything together. Make it multicolor. Let's flip our lid back around. Holding the shift key, we'll do 180 degrees. There we go. We can see up at the top there where there's an inset for the screw. Let's go ahead and let's get a copy of the screw here. Let's bring it up. Let's put the work plane on the surface here. Hit the letter D, drop that to the work plane. Let's bring that over a bit. Work plane back on the default. And using our cursor keys, we can shift nudge a bit here. Holding the control key, we can move ourselves down. And look at that. Our screw should fit right in there. All right, come back for part 4. We'll put the hole in the side here to accept this USB-C connector. And we'll also put 4 small lugs inside of the lower part of the box for the screw holes on this ESP32.